Hello. Uh-oh. Hold on.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Are you the only presenter attending this?
I am.
All right, so I just have a few notes to go over with you before we start in a few minutes.
Okay.
Make them really quick. Okay. So welcome. Thank you for participating. We're going to begin the session at 7:30, and it'll last 45 minutes. So we'll be done at approximately 8:15. If you get done beforehand, you can just let me know and I'll finish it up. A reminder that our session is being recorded for the students who are not able to attend. So just so you're aware, students are able to ask questions via the Q&A button. And we do recommend that you don't click on the answer live button just so the students' names don't pop up, and that you just read the question back to the audience, or you can type a response, but we would appreciate if you did that privately for confidentiality and things like that. It's okay if you don't answer every question right away. You're going to get a transcript from StriveScan with a follow-up of all the questions from the students. And if you'd like to practice sharing your screen, you can go ahead and do that now.
Um, quick question. How's that look?
Yeah, that looks good.
Perfect. Um, is there any way of telling how many people have signed up? I've done one of these already and I had like no one.
I'm not sure. This is my first one.
Okay, cool.
So I'm not sure. But you do get, I think afterwards you get like a list of everyone that's come.
Yeah.
And for the end of this, I'll end the session once you're done. You can just let me know and conclude it, and then I'll disconnect everyone for you and everything like that.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Awesome. Do you have any other questions or anything like
No,
that?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. All right. I'll start it in 6 minutes then.
Okay.
All right, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Alrighty. Share my screen. All right, welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for All Illinois Students, sponsored by the Illinois Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. Thank you all for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to ask a question to our presenter at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the presenters cannot hear or see you. This is just one of the many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out all the full schedule at IACAC.org. And this presentation will be recorded and available within about a week at the same website, again, IACAC.org. I'd like to turn it over to our presenter now.
Good evening, everyone. Let me share my screen. Terrible at multitasking, so I'm going to focus. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Philip Leal Daniels. I am one of the undergraduate admissions counselors at Clemson University in Clemson, South Carolina. A little bit about myself before I jump into my presentation. I graduated from Clemson. I now work full-time, like I said, in Clemson as an admissions counselor, and I am also pursuing my master's at Clemson. So I've said Clemson a lot just in that past 10 seconds. So I'm pretty invested in the university. There's something in these hills, as we love to say, that has kept me around. And after this presentation, my goal is to give you an idea of what that is. So as I get started, I love this picture first and foremost. It is an aerial overview of our campus. One thing I love about our campus is even though we are a big name school in terms of athletics and national recognition and rankings and things like that, we still have that kind of small campus feel where you truly are able to walk from one side of the campus to the other in roughly 15 minutes. So like I said, even though we have that big name, big school feel, we're still a pretty small campus. Where are we located? We are located in what's considered to be the upstate of South Carolina, where this beautiful orange paw print is. One thing that I was truly looking for when I was making my decision to come to Clemson is I wanted what I consider to be a true college town. I grew up in the city all my life, and I know the distractions that come with being in the city. So I really wanted a school environment where I would be able to focus on my school, but at the same time, there would be things to do so that I wouldn't get bored. And aside from that, like I said, I grew up in the city all my life. So doing city things like professional sports events and things like that still appeal to me. So I was super pleased to hear that we're 2 hours from Charlotte, North Carolina, and 2 hours from Atlanta, Georgia. So I was able to kind of get the best of both worlds. So Clemson by the numbers. This is one of my favorite slides because it gives you kind of an overall idea of what our university looks like. On that far left, you see we have roughly 26,000 students on campus, a majority of that being our undergraduate population, right around 20,000 students. And then of course, the rest of that being made up of our graduate population. We have a 16:1 student faculty ratio. What does that mean? That means for every 16 students, we have one faculty member there to support and serve as a resource for our students. It says we have a median class size of 19, which is very true. Our average class size is roughly 30 to 31 students. One thing I loved about Clemson is though we do have a little over 20,000 undergraduate students, I did not feel like I was just a number while I was going about my days in undergrad. I was able to build those connections with my professors, build those connections with my advisors, TAs, etc., so that I felt supported inside and outside of the classroom. We have a graduation rate of 83% on a 6-year scale. One of the funniest questions I've always gotten asked while I'm giving presentations is, why do you project on a 6-year scale if I am coming to undergrad for 4? Well, that's a great question. Those extra 2 years typically come from our students who participate in some of our experiential learning opportunities, such as study abroad, co-ops, internships, job shadowing, etc. These are all great opportunities that are available to all of our students. and really do allow the student to get some real world job application experience outside of the classroom. And then lastly, we have a retention rate of 93%, which simply means 93% of our freshmen come back for their sophomore year. And in a little bit, I will show you some of the resources that we have that truly and honestly, I feel play a part into why that number is so high. So our freshman profile, what do our freshmen, our incoming freshman class look like? One of the biggest questions I always get asked is, how do I get into Clemson? So as you see, we had roughly 29,000 students apply. We accepted a little under 50% of those, and then we had an enrollment of around 3,900 students. That was for our 2019 academic year, the 2019-2020 academic year. For this current fall that we're in right now, we brought in roughly 4,200 freshmen. So as you can see, we are getting a lot of applications, but fortunately enough, as the years continue to progress, we are able to not only, like I said, accept more students, but enroll more students as well. One thing that's unique about Clemson is we operate under what we consider to be a holistic review. So that simply means there's not a minimum GPA, SAT, or ACT that's required, or that a student can send into us that would per se guarantee admission or guarantee a denial or anything like that. What we do like to do is project what on average our freshman class looks like coming in, which is, as you can see there, that 1240 to 1390 on the SAT, 27 to 32 on the ACT. Now, again, we don't have minimums. So being that that is our middle 50% range, we have, of course, 25% of students that are above that range and 25% of students that are below that range. So truly and honestly, if you as a student do not see maybe a score that you received in that range, that's not to deter you from applying. And then as you can see on the far left-hand side, 56% of our students are in the top 10%, 81% in the top 20, and then 98% in the top 50. I'll touch on this a little bit more later, but honestly, if your school does not class rank, that is nothing for you to necessarily worry about. But like I said, I'll give you a little bit more information on that in a few minutes. So admissions deadlines. So here at Clemson, we do not have early action or early decision deadlines. Instead, we have what we call a priority notification deadline. So every year on August 1st, the application will open. For our priority notification deadline, we ask that you have the application itself turned in by December 1st. And then by December 31st, we need all of your supporting materials to complete your application or your complete file within our system. Those include test scores, your transcripts, and then any supplemental materials you may decide to turn in, like a letter of rec, a personal statement, an essay, a resume, etc. If you meet my 2 December deadlines, you're guaranteed to have your decision by mid-February. And then also, which I'll touch on a little bit more later for the sake of scholarships, if you meet my 2 deadlines, you're guaranteed to automatically be considered for any merit-based scholarship that we have to offer in that year. And then lastly, May 1st is the final day to apply for fall admission. So how to apply? We are on 3 different application platforms. We have our Clemson specific application, we have the coalition application, and we have the common app. We truly and honestly do not prefer one over the other. We read them all the same, we accept them all the same. It truly comes down to which one you are more comfortable with. We do have a $70 application fee. In each of our applications, we have built-in questions to gauge whether or not a student is eligible for a fee waiver. But should you get to the point where you complete the application and you still see that fee, and if you're going through any kind of financial hardship or whatever you may have going on at that point in time, and you still feel as though you need a fee waiver, please feel free to reach out to our office and we will see what we can do in terms of helping you out. I can't guarantee anything, but like I said, if you inquire, we will do our best to try and help you. We are test optional. So I know I talked about test scores on the previous slide, but please understand we are test optional. But if you do decide to send in test scores, we need them sent directly from the testing agency. With your transcripts, we need those as well sent directly from your high school. Most schools use parchment, or you can have your guidance counselor email our office directly with your transcript. We prefer parchment because it is easier to use, but in some instances, parchment may not be working and things like that. I know Naviance is another platform that we typically use as well. Your guidance counselor would have to reach out to us directly, and you are able to mail in a transcript if that is an option for you as well. So what we look for, as corny as it sounds, it's my easiest metaphor for explaining how to get into Clemson. There's 5 keys to opening the Clemson door: your GPA, your class rank. But as I said, if your specific high school does not class rank, that is nothing for you as the student to worry about. That just gives me as your counselor a little bit more homework to do. I'm going to work with your school profile. I'm going to work with your course curriculum, etc., for your specific high school to gauge, like I said, how rigorous your high school is. And then I'm going to do a little bit of homework into what your graduating class look like. I say all that to give you a backstory, but if you take nothing else away, like I said, if your school doesn't class rank, that's nothing for you as a student to worry about. So like I said, we have GPA, class rank, test scores. But as I said, we are test optional, choice of major, and then the rigor of the courses you are taking. So we like to see that our students have been challenging themselves throughout their years in high school. So that means, are you taking AP, honors, IB, dual enrollment type courses, whatever your school specifically has to offer. I'm going to jump back to choice of major. Choice of major is something we consider heavily because here at Clemson, we have a few of what we call limited space majors, meaning some of our majors are, as the name says, limited in space, such as nursing, health sciences, sports communication, architecture. So I will always say, when you are applying to Clemson, choose 2 different majors. So I'm going to use nursing as an example. Let's say, for instance, you want to apply into our nursing program, which is a direct admit 4-year program. Because it is limited space, of course, we can't take in every student that applies. So we ask that you have a second choice major, just in case you're not admissible for your first choice. We have another major to review you for. As I said again, and I'm going to keep reiterating it, we are test optional. My biggest piece of advice with students who are torn between whether or not to send in test scores is simply, if you have a test score, you look at that score and you feel confident with it, you feel as though it's a great representation of your academic abilities, send the score in and we will consider it. If for whatever reason you don't have a test score, or you're looking at your test score and you don't feel too confident with it, then you don't have to send it in. That's the beauty of being test optional. I can promise you and I can guarantee you, whether you send in a score or not, you will not be disadvantaged in any way with regards to the admissions review and a scholarship review. I'm going to jump to that last bullet. I talked about, when we were looking at the deadline, supplemental materials. So things like letters of recommendation, essays, resumes, etc., are not required for our admissions process, but I do, as another piece of advice, recommend students turning them in, because we love to see who our students are outside of the numbers, or like I said, that class rank, GPA, etc. We want to know some things that you're involved in. We want to know what sets you apart, what helps you stand out. I always get asked, what is the thing that could maybe set my application apart from another? It's really those supplemental materials that give our admissions team a better idea of who you are. So after you apply, what happens? So as soon as you hit, well, not as soon as, after you hit submit on that application, let's just say by the next day, you should be getting an email with your specific applicant portal login information. Now, what this applicant portal is good for is any status update for your specific application as it moves through our admissions process. And then another big feature is, let's say, for instance, you have, or you get a letter of rec, or you write this really great personal statement and you're wondering, how do you submit it to us? You can do that through your applicant portal as well. So be on the lookout for your email after you apply. Financial aid. Another big question I get asked is not only how do I get into college, but how do I pay for it? So like I said, as long as you meet my December deadlines, you're guaranteed to be considered for any and all merit-based scholarships that we have at the time. But I also am a big proponent for the FAFSA, or the free application for federal student aid. It opens on October 1st. Financial aid asks that you have it in by January 2nd, but that is a free application, as it says in the name, for you to gauge how much federal aid you are able to get in terms of helping you pay for college. It's free to submit. It does not take a long time, and you never know how much money you may be offered. Pathways to Clemson. So outside of the typical fall admission into Clemson, we have a few other pathways to help our students get to Clemson University. So I'm going to jump to the bottom one first, transferring. We oftentimes have a lot of students that decide to maybe start at a 2-year school first, or start at another four-year institution and realize Clemson is where they want to be or where they should have been. So transferring is always an option. Bridge to Clemson, jumping back to the top. Bridge to Clemson has been around for roughly 10 years. It brings in about a fifth of our freshman class. This is a unique opportunity. So students who are offered the Bridge to Clemson program live in or live on campus. They receive all the perks and amenities of being a quote unquote Clemson student. The only difference is you're going to take your first year's worth of classes at Tri-County Technical College, which is roughly 10 minutes up the road from us. Upon completing those first year's worth of classes, it's typically 30 credit hours, which is a normal full course load. You will, as we say, cross the bridge and begin your sophomore year taking classes at Clemson. Tigertown Summerbound is a fairly newer pathway that we have. Students who are offered this opportunity start in the summer prior to the fall term. Upon completing 6 credit hours of coursework or 2 classes, you will begin at Clemson that following fall. It is important to note both Bridge and Tigertown Summerbound are invitation only, so you do not have to worry about any separate applications or requirements to get in either of those. Majors. So we have over 80 majors that are housed in 6 different colleges. Our 7th college and 7 different colleges. Our 8th college is our honors college, which I will talk about in a minute. I pretty much say if you can think of the major, we pretty much offer it in some capacity. But on the next slide here, where it says clemson.edu/degrees, this is a website on our webpage where you are able to do a little bit more research into all the majors that we have to offer. You're able to see what the curriculum looks like. You're able to get an idea of what a typical, like I said, curriculum in that program will look like. That's the easiest place for you to do a little bit more research if you have an idea of what you want to major in, or if you're still trying to figure it out, which is perfectly fine. Now, these resources are one of my favorite things to talk about because, as I said, this is what I feel as though helps us maintain that 93% retention rate. PAL leaders, or peer-assisted learning, is essentially students who have made an A in that specific course and have decided to come back for another semester to serve as a resource in addition to the professor for whatever that coursework entails. Our Academic Success Center is a freestanding building that has tons and tons of free resources for students, everything from tutoring for any class you can think of, academic coaching, workshops for time management, study habits, etc. Anything that you can think of to help you be successful, our Academic Success Center has to offer. And like I said, they're free to the student. We have a great writing center. Personally, the writing center saved my life in undergrad. Our writing center is great because they help you not only flesh out ideas, outline, rough draft, proofread. They basically do everything but write the paper for you. They are a great resource to help you work through any writer's blocks or any troubles you have with those research papers that you will eventually get. Faculty office hours. So I oftentimes get asked, how easy is it to connect with your professors? Well, office hours make it extremely easy. Office hours are essentially mandated hours throughout the week where your professor has to be in their office and simply wait for you as the student to come talk to them. That's the easiest way to get in contact with your professor. But as I've been in Clemson for going on 5 years, I have yet to meet a professor who is reluctant to schedule some kind of meeting or give you some kind of help outside of when their office hours are. I will always say you simply just have to ask. And then lastly, Student Accessibility Services is a great resource for students who may have any kind of learning disability or even something as simple as myself, my sophomore year, I was playing basketball in the gym. I injured my ankle, so it made it a little bit harder for me to walk in between buildings from class to class. So I went to Student Accessibility Services, and they were able to give me kind of like a permit so that I could park a little bit closer to the buildings to alleviate some of my walking. Research. So we are an R1 research institution, which is just a fancy way of saying we love and we pride ourselves on having tons of resources for students who are interested in research. Whether your program or whatever major you're in specifically has a research component, or you're just someone who's super interested in something and want to dig a little deeper into it, we have the resources to help you. I will always say, similar to like I said on the last slide, the easiest way to get involved is by simply asking. how can I get involved? Hey, I have this idea. How can I move forward with it? Or simply, hey, I see you're working on X, Y, and Z. I would love to get involved. Creative inquiries are a unique opportunity that we have. This is a 1 credit hour course that is research based. We have creative inquiries covering tons of different areas of research. And you're simply able to register just like you would register for any other class to participate in that. So that's another fairly straightforward way to get involved with some kind of research. Career services. Career services here at Clemson University, our Michelin Career Center is constantly ranked either between 1 or 2. We're constantly going back and forth in the nation for, like I said, career services. Our Michelin Career Center has tons of free resources for students that you're able to begin using the day you step on campus, whether it be resume workshops, cover letter workshops, etiquette training, mock interviews, etc. Our Michelin Career Center has all of the resources that you need to prepare you for that internship interview, that co-op interview, or that big interview for post-graduation life. As you see in the middle, we have a 96% employment rate. That simply just shows that following 6 months after graduation, 96% of our students are reporting back that they are in some way either continuing their education or are employed pursuing their career. So like I said, we take pride in our Career Center and how we're able to provide resources for our students. Our Honors College, so for my students who are interested in the Honors College, it is an entirely separate application process from the Clemson app. One of the biggest questions I get asked is, if I don't get into the Honors College, am I kicked out of Clemson? No. The Honors College application, like I said, is separate. So the Honors College decision in no way impacts your admissions decision. But as I said, it is a separate application. So you apply to Clemson first, and then you're able to apply to the Honors College. Some perks of being in the Honors College: smaller class sizes, more personal connection with your advisor, just simply meaning your advisor is in charge of less students. You get to live in what's called a living learning community, or LLC, which is essentially you'll be living with other Honors College students on the same hall in the same dorm. So it's a great way to build community once you get here to Clemson. And then also things like research opportunities and a lot of guest speakers that come to speak to our Honors College. Diversity inclusion. This is one of my favorite slides because this is something that I'm passionate about and I've continued to try and help build upon with my time here at Clemson. So Clemson prides itself on being diverse, but we understand we are not perfect. So we are continuing to pour in resources and do the work necessary to continue to grow in diversity and, like I said, continue to make our campus as inclusive as possible. Having a diverse and inclusive campus does not just mean the difference between African American and white students. It's truly any religious, ethnic, or social group that you identify or belong to. We have the resources to help you build community and to help you feel included here at Clemson. I am a true testament to this. Like I said, I have been working with this my entire years here at Clemson, and I am proud to see that we have continued to grow in diversity. We have continued to grow in inclusive resources to the point at the top, as you can see, from Insight into Diversity magazine, we were awarded or deemed a diversity champion. So we take pride in that. Excuse me. So student life. As I'm wrapping up, another big question I get asked, if you know anything about Clemson University, we are a rural campus. So oftentimes get asked, what do you guys do there for fun? We have over 550 clubs and organizations, whether it be Greek life, multicultural organizations, religious organizations, etc. We have over 550 to offer. It is so easy to start a club here at Clemson that I see we have 9 people, including myself, on this call right now. If all of us were to simply get together, find a faculty advisor, we could start our own club and organization, which is pretty much how we ended up with over 550. We have any and everything you can think of. My favorite to talk about is the Chocolate Milk Club. Yes, we do have a Chocolate Milk Club. From what I understand, the students who are involved in that simply hang out, meet up, and drink chocolate milk. Obviously, it looks a little different with COVID going on, but in a non-COVID environment, that's simply what they do. I'm going to jump to the bottom before I talk about athletics. We pride ourselves on our outdoor space. A lot of our Clemson students love to be outdoors, whether it be exercising or just lounging around, maybe decompressing after a stressful day. I personally love to hike, so I was very happy that we're right on the Blue Ridge Mountains, so hiking trails are abundant. And then also we're right on Lake Hartwell, so spending a lot of time, weather permitting, on the lake. We have boats, canoes, and things like that that you're able to rent to use on the water. Athletics, like I said, we have 19 NCAA Division I athletic teams. We are most known for our football program. One thing that's unique about Clemson is all of our student tickets are free. So I'm going to use football as an example. Whether it be a regular season game, a bowl game, or even the national championship, you have the opportunity to get a free ticket. Outside of watching sports, we have club sports and intramural sports as well. So if you maybe are not able to play on our Division I team, but you still want to be competitive, like I said, we do have club sports available where you are actually able to travel to other schools and compete. And then intramurals as well, which is simply you and your friends making a team and competing against another group of friends. So you are able to stay involved. And then my last slide, Clemson traditions. So one thing that I truly love about Clemson is how deep rooted we are in traditions in terms of our student traditions, our history, and things of that nature. It is something that screams school spirit. Whenever you ask a Clemson student, whether now or an alum, they always say, you know, I don't really know what it is that's so infectious about Clemson, but it's addicting. And I personally, over my years, have come to realize it's rooted in a lot of these traditions that we have. So for example, Solid Orange Friday, similar to this pullover that I have on now. Tomorrow's Friday, so I would wear something like this. And pretty much as you walk around campus, whether it be a student, a faculty, a staff member, or one of our executive leadership team members, you're wearing orange. It's not really mandated, but it's mandated. You wear orange in support of not only our school, but our sports teams as they go out and compete. Our alma mater is something we take pride in. We sing it after every game and, of course, at graduation. The ring ceremony is super cool, in my opinion. I would honestly rank it up there in terms of experiences with graduation. Once you achieve 90 credit hours of completed coursework, you're able to purchase your class ring. For me, the class ring symbolizes not only my alma mater, of course, but it symbolized for me when I was able to order it, that kind of like benchmark that I'm almost done, that I'm approaching graduation. I wear my ring every day. Every day that I go to work, I don't wear it on the weekends because I may lose it. But every day that I go to work, every day that I travel, truly to take pride in where I came from. And it's always a great talking point. I don't know how many times I've been stopped and asked why my ring is so big and what it symbolizes. And then other things like Legacy Day and Homecoming really help our university to stand out in terms of school spirit. One thing I do want to touch on, these big, I guess you can say, displays, maybe a great way to put it. These are actually our homecoming floats. So every year our student-led organizations build from hand these homecoming floats. They design them themselves, and there's kind of a competition, a friendly competition for who has the best float, most creative, etc. To give you an idea of how large these things are, I'm 6'4" tall, and these floats are typically like 3 or 4 of me stacked on top of each other. So they're massive. They take our student-led organizations about a week to build. And when you start seeing those go up, you know homecoming is around the corner. And like I said, it's pretty unique to see them starting from nothing and then eventually ending up, you know, in what you see here on the screen. So that's pretty much all I have. I know I went through a lot of that information kind of quick, but for the sake of time, I wanted to make sure I touched on everything. Feel free to ask me any questions. I have the Q&A thing pulled up. I think I have to stop sharing my screen. We're going to test this out. I see I have no questions, but feel free to ask any question. I will do my best to answer. But if you don't have any questions now, if you go to clemson.edu/admissions, you will see all of our admissions office contact information. You will see my specific contact information. So as you think of questions, if maybe I went over something a little too fast and you missed it, please feel free to reach out to us, and we will go from there in terms of helping you get that answered. Now I know we have a few minutes left, so I will continue to watch the Q&A, I guess, box if you have any questions. Oh, there we go. So one of our questions is, does Clemson have a pre-dental track? That is a great question. Yes, we have a pre-dental track, a pre-med track, a pre-physical therapy track, a pre-law track. We don't have a specific dental school. So to answer your question again, yes, we do have a pre-dental track. With that, you will work with our pre-dental advising team to get you ready, or to get you all of the coursework you need to not only apply for dental school, but also be competitive to get in. So that's a great question. Excuse me. Any other questions? Are you the admissions rep for all of Illinois? Yes, ma'am, I am. Like I said, my contact information is on our website. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me if you have any question. Another question, is campus open for in-person tours at this time? As of now, we are not. We now have it pretty much set in stone that we will not have tours for the rest of this semester, but I am not 100% sure on what the spring semester will look like. Another question, I saw that psychology was a pretty big field. How many people do you think enroll each year? I don't have that number off the top of my head, but psychology is, as you said, one of our more popular programs. But I will say it is not a limited space major. That doesn't mean it's not competitive, but that just means we have more seats to accommodate students. So that's a good question. I myself was a psychology minor, just a tidbit. I loved it. The only reason I didn't double major is because I was ready to graduate, but I truly did love it. How far is Clemson from a good hike? Great question. I love hiking. To be honest, maybe like a 10 to 15 minute car ride, you can get to one of my favorite trails. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head, so this is kind of embarrassing, but it's like 3 miles there, 3 miles back, so 6 miles in total. And it culminates at this beautiful waterfall. So yeah, sorry, got off on a hiking tangent, but I love it. Check it out, definitely. Any other questions? You guys asked some great questions. No? Can I get one more, just so I know you guys are participating? No? Okay. Well, if that is it, I don't want to hold you guys. Oh, I got one. What is tuition? So out-of-state tuition is roughly 28,000. That's just tuition, and then on top of that, you would add room and board and your meal plan. Tuition typically goes or varies roughly 1 to 3% per year, but I know this year it was roughly 28,000 for an out-of-state student. My email, I don't know if I don't know how to do this. So I promise you, if you go to clemson.edu/admissions and you go to our contact page, you will see my big, beautiful picture. You will see my name, Philip Leon Daniels, and my email is there. I don't really know how to type it and make it show up, so I don't want to mess anything up. So I apologize for that. But it's long. Yeah. Oh, did you play any sports? If so, how hard was it to manage sports in school? So I did not come to college to play Division I sports. Almost did, but something told me not to, so I didn't. But I did participate in club sports, and I did play intramurals every single year. I will always say time management, time management, time management. Being able to prioritize and understand that you're here first and foremost for a degree. So putting your school first. But even with the club sports and the intramural sports that I played, It didn't take up too much of my time, but I still, like I said, managed my time enough where I was able to give 110% for both school and the sports I was playing. I do know a lot of people who play Division I sports, whether it be basketball, football, baseball, etc., and they always say, so I will share with you, playing a Division I sport is like having another full-time job. So basically, you're a student and then you're an athlete. And that's pretty much what your undergraduate career will look like. So if that's something you're interested in, best of luck to you, but please time manage. But yeah, that's super cool. You guys are great. I asked for one question and I got 4. Okay. So I am done. I don't see any more questions. I don't want to hold you guys. So I appreciate it again. Like I said, feel free to reach out to me and go Tigers.
All right, thank you all for joining us. When you close, when you close this window, there will be a link to a quick 4-question survey. And we'd really appreciate any feedback that you guys have for us. Also, this was one of many sessions being hosted, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions at IACAC.org. And again, in about a week, you'll be able to find this session recording as well as other sessions happening right now at IACAC.org. So thank you all so much.